Are you craving better sleep now? Have you had some sleepless nights recently? Are you waking up with a headache or in a fog? I'm Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your biggest midlife challenges and questions. I share what to eat, how to move, and how to change your thoughts so you can get the energy and the vitality you deserve in this second and better half, whether or not you're in the midst of COVID-19. My guest today is Flipping 50 virtual gym member, Rosi, and we're inviting you to listen to a coaching call to support her sleep right now. I suspect many of you listening have the same challenge. I know I have. You'll hear her say she's having lots of coffee in order to do the workout program she's in. Sleep disruption affects so many of our goals and best intentions. So I wanted to help Rosi, and big thanks to her for agreeing to share this because you too may find answers here. COVID-19 means it takes a little bit more effort to get better sleep right now. Immediately, we want that if we've suffered from even one poor night's sleep, but we also want and need sleep for our immune systems. You'll hear Rosi say if she's tired all day, it's just hard to plan meals. The simplest of decisions feel overwhelming when you're sleep deprived. That can become a vicious cycle because what you eat impacts your sleep. Sleep impacts your exercise. And then exercise impacts your sleep and your meals. It is all so tied together. But for so many Flipping 50 women, sleep is the glue that holds us together, especially now. Routine and schedule support sleep and mealtime ease. So here's our call. Hey, Rosi.
Hi.
So I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about what exactly is going on right now. Where are you, and what can I help you with?
Okay. Well, I'm right now. I'm in a stronger program, and I'm really been struggling to finish because I don't sleep well, and seems like the past 5 days it's been more. It's been more difficult because I feel like when I wake up in the morning that I've been up all night, running or something. I just feel like I've just been awake all night, and then I just wake up with a headache buzz and kind of a low energy that stays with me all day. But this morning, I had lots of coffee to try to finish the Stronger 3-week 2, and I've signed up for it, the Stronger program 3 times, and I haven't been able to finish it yet. But I'm determined to finish this one now that we're locked up during this virus.
Okay, so let me unpack that a little bit. So the sleep, is it related to the virus? Are you feeling like it's stress related to COVID-19, or do you have a history of sleep issues?
I have insomnia since I started perimenopause, but it comes and goes. But this time it's just different. I just feel like I've been running all night, like I've been in a marathon or something, and it's been really bad the past week. Normally I'm able to fall asleep okay. I just cannot stay asleep.
Got it. Okay. So describe for me what you've tried.
I've tried incorporating a sleep hygiene routine with relaxing by 9 or 10 o'clock with the TV off and trying to read. But it's very hard for me to read when I can't sleep. It's hard for me to focus on any writing. I just repeat the words in my mind as I read. But I've tried reading. Sometimes I just try to do puzzles or something. I've also tried to use essential oils. And then I've also tried to make sure I do all my exercise early in the morning and limit my coffee to 2 cups before 10 a.m.
Okay, great. So a good start, really good start. What about a couple of the things that we use in some of our programs? how's your carbohydrate intake at dinner time?
I try to have a little bit of rice or sweet potato, but I'm not consistent with it. I feel like I have not been consistent, especially during the virus. It's just kind of eat whatever I can because I can't explain it. It's just a little, I feel a little just out of it. When I eat properly before the virus, I was able to fall asleep right away. But I still struggle occasionally waking up at 3 or 3:30 or 4 and not go back to sleep.
Okay. And so I'm going to tackle that in a minute, the waking up. So I want to go back to your comment, though, about not able to eat. So talk a little bit more about that. Is that about appetite? Are you not hungry, or what's happening at dinner?
Well, I'm just really tired all day. It's just hard to plan meals. It's especially hard this time for me. The limited people inside the stores, and when I get there, all the produce is gone. Planning meals has been hard for me when I'm so tired by the end of the day. And with this virus, it's been even worse. I sort of just grab whatever I can and cook a meal, and still trying to incorporate some of the things that I've been learning through your programs to do the carbs and the 3-2-1. I think that's what it is, throughout the day of carbs and the proteins and all that. But I just feel a little out of it, just out of routine and schedule, and trying to focus back in it. But it's pretty frightening when you go to the store and all the produce is gone.
Yes. Okay. First of all, while you were talking, in my mind's eye, I'm imagining all of you listeners, I'm just imagining everybody's head going up and down. Like, yes, she's nailed it. That's it. So I know that is not funny, although a little humor at this point is, hopefully it helps that you're not alone. So let me unpack this, because you've come back to this one point twice. And that is that it's hard to plan meals, when you're tired by the end of the day. So I want to kind of, with respect and love, this is said in love, point out that when you plan, you're not at that end of the day tired, having to figure it out. So I want to dive into this next question based on that. How were your weekends? And I know we've only had, 4 maybe since this began, but are you able to catch up and rest a little bit more? What are your weekend days like?
Well, I've been trying to do what I've been told to do, or at least I've read, to try to get up at the same time all the time. And so I may be tossing and turning in bed between 6 and 7 or so. And then I finally give up and get out of bed, and just trying to establish that I'm always out of bed at 7. So no matter what happens, I try to get up at the same time around 7. But I don't think it's helping, because even if I was to stay in bed, I just can't go back to sleep. So I try to maintain a normal schedule 7 days a week to help me with my sleep.
That's wise. That's great. What about the rest of the day? Do you have a little bit more latitude and freedom in terms of your schedule?
Yes, I do.
Okay. My suggestion would be this coming weekend, and now, just in, 10-minute snippets when you have a break, figure out what couple of recipes you really enjoy that offer a little bit of got some carbohydrates in them, and that they're easy. So some of those, one pan prep kinds of things, or a one pot, make a big pot of something, or a big couple of pans of something, so that you've got a meal ready to go, but you've also got several things to put in the refrigerator and or the freezer, so that you're planning not only for the week, but maybe ahead. And that way, when you come home at the end of those days where you're working and tired, you've got something ready to go to. Does that sound doable?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And now, I know it sounds like, well, yeah, why didn't I think of that? And yet, you also, I want to respect the fact that you mentioned, some of the produce that you want may not be there,
Yes.
but you can pick out a couple of recipes where, okay, if this vegetable isn't available, what vegetable, might have the same kind of water content in it that I could substitute it, and that would be okay. I still would have something else in there, whether it's, you're making roasted vegetables, if, as long as you're exchanging a non-starchy vegetable for a non-starchy or a starchy vegetable for a starchy, even if you switch, that's, you're improvising and that still works. So I would try to do that. And that way, you at least have given yourself the best support for those days when you are tired. So you don't have to plan. All you have to do is open the freezer or the refrigerator and say, which one is it going to be? Which one am I going to warm up today? And that's a lot less of a decision to have to make. So I would start there and planning for carbs in that recipe. And the other thing would be, have you tried magnesium with dinner? Have you ever tried that?
Yes, I have I have 450 milligrams magnesium glycinate.
Glycinate, yep.
Yes.
And has that helped you?
I don't know because since I started the program about 3 years ago with the cafe membership, I've just, in a read your book, it's recommended. I'm assuming it's doing something. I don't dare be off of it because I don't know what will happen.
Yes. So I've got a suggestion for you too, though, right now. And this is not me playing a doctor, not on TV, not in real life, and not diagnosing. If I were you, let me say it that way. Right now, most of us have whatever our need for vitamin A or C or zinc or magnesium was, it's somewhat elevated because of our need for greater immunity, for greater ability to sleep, and with the stress that we're dealing with, our body is using those nutrients at a faster level. So what I would do, if you're getting some evidence that potentially what you're doing right now isn't working, is I would increase that dose daily. So if you were, I think you said 450 is what you're taking now, and if that is the amount that you're taking in a capsule or whatever, you can't probably take that and break it in half. And doubling that would be a big jump. But if you can find, say, a 200 or 250 milligram to also take, I would kind of bump that up for 3 nights in a row and see, is there any change if I do that? And then go all the way up for the next 3 days to say, am I able to either fall asleep, stay asleep longer, and wake a little bit more rested because I'm taking that? That might be another something that you want to consider. Does that sound reasonable?
Definitely.
Okay. So there's 2 things, and there are other things that we might explore, but I would start with those because number 1, adjusting your food and looking at, have I got those 3 servings of carbs, which might be a medium sweet potato and berries for dessert. Have I got that in my dinner, which might help you relax and prepare for sleep better in the evening? And, doing magnesium, because you've already got it, you're just changing the amount that you're taking. You could do both of those at once, although to do an experiment, really the best way to do it is to isolate and do one change at a time. So you can either look at it as, I'm going to change my carbs, keep my magnesium the same, and then in a few days, I'm going to also make a change to the magnesium. So it might take a week for you really to get some improvement and stabilize your ability to say, oh, it's because of this. This is actually helping. But that way, by this time next week, things should be a little bit better. And I will also say this, I'm a big fan of placebo. And I think getting off the call, potentially, you might also simply feel like I have a plan. I already feel better.
Okay.
And I'll let you comment on that.
Yes. I already feel better now just listening to this extra advice that you're giving me. So, yes.
Great. So here's the last step, right? So you've got 2 potential steps to take. The third, to really lock it in, right, is not just having a plan, but report it. So you, as a Flipping 50 Cafe member, what I'd love for you to do is to just use that for accountability. So report to all of us. Number 1, as soon as we jump off, the best thing for you to do would be go over there and say, in this next week, here's what I'm going to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3, tonight, tomorrow, and the next night. And here's what I'm going to report to you, because that will help you get some support from that whole group of people who is fantastic. Probably also help you support somebody who's got this same problem. And then we'll hold your feet to the fire.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay. Thanks so much for sharing.
Okay, well, thank you for your help.
Okay, so on the call, you heard me help Rosi plan, prepare ahead so she doesn't have to make decisions last minute. So while you're foggy and you can't focus, just keep your mind on one thing at a time. Step by step, it goes like this. First, choose some recipes that you can make for dinners in the coming week. Ideally, they're one pot or one pan recipes that you can make a batch of, even if it's a batch of simple grilled chicken and veggies, and then you roast potatoes while you're doing that. Make choosing recipes the only goal you have today. Second, figure out your grocery list. So if you're having trouble finding produce at the store, see if you can think ahead of time about alternatives for your recipes. So if a recipe calls for zucchini, for instance, what would be another more watery kind of a vegetable that you can use? If a recipe calls for winter squash or potatoes, what other resistant starch or dense vegetable could you use? Make that your grocery list, your goal tomorrow. And then you're going to make a date to go to the store with your list when you do have time and energy. Last, make a date to make those recipes on the weekend when you can stick one pan in the oven, another on the crock pot, maybe be grilling at the same time, and you create several or at least a couple options that you'd actually look forward to eating during the week. Now you've really planned. The biggest decision you have to make at the end of the day is, which one do I warm up? So the better sleep tips we talked about were carbohydrates at dinner, waking at the same time daily. Although during COVID-19, I will offer this. That is normally a good hormone balancing rule. But if you're truly sleeping in the morning beyond your usual wake-up call, and you can, go ahead and allow yourself to get the extra sleep for your immunity benefit. If you're just lying there and awake, go ahead and get up. And then the third better sleep tip was magnesium with dinner. So here's the answer to this question you might be asking. What kind of carbs do I want for better sleep? We discussed carbs at dinner, and we're talking about resistant carbohydrates that support stable energy. So my favorites are sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, beans, and legumes. And here's why they help. We create a hormone called serotonin when we eat carbohydrates. That's your feel-good hormone, and it helps us relax and have calm. We create it other ways too. As females, we create serotonin by venting with our friends and by going for a walk outside in the sunshine. But carbohydrates and chocolate give it to us too. Late in the day, your cortisol goes down and we can get a little edgy. That makes it a little harder to relax and prepare for sleep. Serotonin can offset that edginess. Getting up at the same time of day and getting natural sunlight for about 15 minutes first thing in the morning will help you boost your serotonin level, your melatonin level at night, confusing my hormones. That sleep regulating hormone, melatonin, gets you to sleep. Magnesium will keep you asleep. So in talking about magnesium, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I think it really makes sense for someone, me or a coach specifically, that's working with you to walk you through this step by step in finding the right magnesium and where to start and how to progress. You want to experiment with magnesium amounts and the right type for your needs if you choose to take that step. But know this, so many of us are deficient, and magnesium is not only supportive of sleep, it can help with regularity, metabolism, headaches, and hundreds of other functions, one of which is your immune system. Accountability matters here. So I gave Rosi the steps, but at the end of that call, I also gave her the big pieces. So to seal the deal on having that plan and telling somebody, the real piece of telling somebody is having accountability. So what I asked her to do, and what she did, by the way, is right away went to the private Facebook group for the Flipping 50 virtual membership and committed to the steps she was going to take. And immediately, I think she had almost a dozen people weigh in and say, this is great. Let us know how it goes. And someone else even asked within 24 hours, what happened? How did it go the first day? That's the difference. And the stat I shared several weeks ago in another podcast was, if you want to increase your success when you're trying to change a habit, 93% improvement in success rates happens when you not only create a plan, tell somebody else, but you create the accountability check-in where you're going to report. It matters. After our call, Rosi and I shared something more. So after we stopped recording, I told her, please don't own the fact that she's having a little insomnia right now, even if you've had insomnia in the past. Don't make insomnia your identity. It's temporary. You may be having nights of lower quality of sleep, but it's just a phase and it's just passing through. Don't let it take up residence or identify yourself as someone with insomnia. Even if you've had this for longer than COVID-19, allow yourself to think of it as a situational phase in your life. When it came and went like a cold, this is going to pass. And I'm also going to link in this podcast to a progressive relaxation that I've done with the Flipping 50 community on Facebook in a 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time session that we're doing most days during COVID-19. That's a little tip I give to people who find they wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep and need a little something to support them, something to give your brain and your body to do to release tension. You might find it helpful too. During the call, Rosi mentions a Stronger program that she's doing, and that she's referring to a 12-week Flipping 50 strength training program designed for women in menopause or any stage of perimenopause or postmenopause. The doors to the program open a few times a year, and I'll link to that program where if you're listening and it's not open right now, you can still get on the notifications list and be notified when there's an early bird rate when it first opens again. I have a favor. Was this episode helpful? I'd love to know if this helps you get better sleep now. So leave a comment. And if you have a question, leave it below the show link at flipping50.com/better-sleep-now. That's better sleep now. If you want some done-for-you support with nutrition, as opposed to my step-by-step telling you how to do it, you can get my food flip right now during the COVID-19, and you can get it for 50% off. I wanted to make it more accessible to help more people boost their immune system, eat better, and avoid that quarantine 15. Usually, the food flip is reserved for Flipping 50 current or concurrent strength training program participants and cafe members. I'm answering the call so many of you have about wanting support for the food piece right now. It's a 28-day program that I've made specially priced using Food Flip 50, no spaces, Food Flip 50. And I'm going to gift participants with 2 extra weeks to see you a little bit further than those 28 days for what I hope is more normalcy by the time we're there. You can click flipping50.com/food-flip and use foodflip50 to get your pre-program head start right now. Doors close April 29th.